Nicias, much against his will, commands the expedition. So he's the general. He says it's had ill forebodings. He says, my omens say it's bad, we shouldn't go. Before setting out, he offers a sacrifice. He's the general. He has to command the army or the navy. According to custom, he offers this sacrifice. He takes with him, like other generals, a troop of diviners, sacrificers, auspices, and heralds. The fleet carries its sacred fire. Every vessel has an emblem representing some god. But Nicias has little hope. Crows, birds, black birds, have injured a statue of Pallas. A man has mutilated himself upon an altar, and the departure takes place during the unlucky days. Damn it. It's Winston Churchill attacking Persephone. And the departure takes place during the unlucky days of the Plantaria. Nicias knows only too well that this war will be fatal to him and his country. He already knows it. He knows it. It's been divined to him. During the whole course of his campaign, he always appears timorous and circumspect. He hardly dares to give the signal for a battle. He, whom they know to be so brave a soldier and skilled a general. The Athenians cannot take Syracuse, and after cruel losses, they are forced to decide upon returning home. Nicias prepares his fleet for the return. The sea is still free. There are no enemy ships there yet. But an eclipse of the moon happens. Oh my God. That's obviously not a good sign. He consults his diviner. The diviner answers that the presage is unfavorable, and that they must wait 3 times 9 days. 3 times 9, 27. Not 27, no. 3 times 9. Oh, okay. Nicias obeys, and he passes all this time inactive, offering many sacrifices to appease the wrath of the gods, because he believes they're not supposed to have come on this. And here they are on this damn expedition. The gods told us not to come, they told us. During this delay, the enemy closed up the port and destroy his fleet. Nothing is left for him but to retreat by land, and this is impossible. Neither he nor any of his soldiers escape the Syracusans. They are all slaughtered. What did the Athenians say at the news of this disaster? They knew the personal courage of Nicias and his admirable constancy. Nor did they dream of blaming him for having followed the dictates of religion. Oh no. They found one thing to reproach him for. This was for having taken with him an ignorant diviner. For this man had been mistaken as to the meaning of the eclipse of the moon. He ought to have known that, for an army wishing to retreat, a moon that conceals its light is a favorable presage. Silly him and his diviner, not being logical. His diviner was not logical. We take a bit from the next chapter, chapter 17, the omnipotence of the state. He says the ancient Greeks knew nothing of individual liberty. The ancient Greeks knew nothing of individual liberty. The city had been founded upon a religion and constituted like a church. Hence its strength, hence also its omnipotence and the absolute empire which it exercised over its members. In a society established on such principles, individual liberty could not exist. The citizen was subordinate in everything and without any reserve to the city. He belonged to it, body and soul. The religion which had produced the state, and the state which supported the religion, sustained each other, and made but one. These two powers, associated and confounded, formed a power almost superhuman, to which the soul and the body were equally enslaved. So he's saying the state was omnipotent, omniscient, and everything else. There was nothing independent in man. His body belonged to the state. It was devoted to its defense. At Rome, military service was due till a man was 50 years old. At Athens, till he was 60. and at Sparta, always. This is in an age when life expectancy is 35 or 40 years. His fortune was always at the disposal of the state. If the city had need of money, it could order the women to deliver up their jewels, the creditors to give up their claims, and the owners of olive trees to turn over gratuitously the oil which they had made. Private life did not escape this omnipotence of the state. The Athenian law, in the name of religion, forbade man to remain single. Sparta punished not only those who remained single, but those who married late. At Athens, the state could prescribe labor, and at Sparta, idleness. It exercised its tyranny even in the smallest things. At Locri, L-O-C-R-I, the laws forbade men to drink pure wine. Hey, making a damn lot of noise over there, sir. At Rome, Persephone, psst, hey, psst, knuckleheads. At Locri, the laws forbade men to drink pure wine. At Rome, Miletus, and Marseille, wine was forbidden to women. It was a common thing for the kind of dress to be invariably fixed by each city. The legislation of Sparta regulated the headdress of women, and that of Athens forbade them to take with them on a journey more than 3 dresses. Why? At Rhodes and Byzantium, the law forbade men to shave the beard. The state was under no obligation to suffer any of its citizens to be deformed. It therefore commanded a father to whom such a son was born to have him put to death. This law is found in the ancient codes of Sparta and of Rome. We do not know that it existed at Athens. We know only that Aristotle and Plato incorporated it into their ideal codes. There is in the history of Sparta the one trait which Plutarch and Rousseau greatly admired. Sparta had just suffered a defeat at Leuctra, L-E-U-C-T-R-A, and many of its citizens had perished. On the receipt of this news, the relatives of the dead had to show themselves in public with gay countenance. It doesn't tell us what the punishment was if they didn't show themselves in public with gay countenance. What then was the power of the state that could thus order the reversal of the natural sentiments and be obeyed? The state allowed no man to be indifferent to its interests. The philosopher or the studious man had no right to live apart. He was obliged to vote in the assembly and be magistrate in his turn. At a time when discords were frequent, the Athenian law permitted no one to remain neutral. So when people are getting up on one side and another, they force you to choose a side. Against one who attempted to remain indifferent and not side with either faction, and to appear calm, the law pronounced the punishment of exile with confiscation of property. Education was far from being free among the Greeks. On the contrary, there was nothing over which the state had greater control. At Sparta, the father could have nothing to do with the education of his son. The law appears to have been less rigorous at Athens. Still, the state managed to have education in the hands of masters of its own choosing. Aristophanes, in an eloquent passage, shows the Athenian children on their way to school. And this is what the kids looked like. In order, distributed according to their district, they marched in serried ranks through rain, snow, or scorching heat. These children seem already to understand that they are performing a public duty. The state wished alone to control education. Plato gives the motive for this. Quote, "Parents ought to not be free to send or not send their children to the masters whom the city has chosen, for the children belong less to their parents than to the city." You wonder what the rationale is for that, you know? The state considered the mind and body of every citizen as belonging to it, and wished therefore to fashion this body and mind in a manner that would enable it to draw the greatest advantage from them. Therefore, children were taught gymnastics, because the body of a man was an arm for the city, and it was best that this arm should be as strong and skillful as possible. They were also taught religious songs